You are listening to the audio portion of the QB Power Hour webinar series. The QB Power Hour is a free bi-weekly webinar series for accounting professionals presented by Michelle Long and Dan DeLong, who are very passionate about the industry, QuickBooks, and apps that integrate with QuickBooks. You can find out all the details about the webinar series at qbpowerhour.com. So without further ado, here's Michelle and Dan. Welcome to another QuickBooks Power Hour. Today we'll be talking about the working with spreadsheets in QuickBooks Online, and we've got a panel actually today. So let's go ahead and kick off the introductions with Michelle.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Michelle Long, CPA and MBA in Entrepreneurship, owner of Long for Success, and very glad to have you all joining us today. Dan and I had a great time last week at the first ever Happy Hour camp in Virginia. Beautiful in the mountains at the lodge where Dirty Dancing was filmed. And we did see that Dan has some dance moves that he's been holding out on us. He can share those on social if he chooses to.
They're not dirty, though.
He does have some really good dance moves, though. I will let him choose whether he wants to share them or not. But anyway, that's enough about me. Continuing on, Dan.
Right. And apparently Dan DeLong is owner Dan with, worked at Intuit for about 18 years. Your co-host today, also doing the co-hosting responsibilities at Workshop Wednesdays over at Schoolofbookkeeping.com and doing some tech editing for the QBO for Dummies series. And yeah, that's enough about me. But I'm really pleased to have Jonathan Bello joining us. Jonathan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, where to start? So first of all, I like to call myself the reluctant accountant. I got a degree in accounting and I did 2 years of corporate accounting and realized I didn't like being in the corporate environment. I started working with software solutions, accounting software solutions, one of them being the first Macintosh GUI-based package for accounting. It was called Insight. By a company called Layered, and then I hung up my shingle to help small businesses learn, implement accounting solutions. And then in 2015, I embraced my accountancy and started my firm to expand and provide client accounting services. And as you can see, I have a whole bunch of accolades along the line, and most notably, the QBO Integrations ProAdvisor of the Year. So I'm supposed to be good at like working with apps, both putting information into QBO and getting it out of QBO.
And when I worked at Intuit, you were one of my favorite people who would call in, because I knew that you would have, you've already done your due diligence, and that it was just going to be a really good conversation, something to sink your teeth into. And speaking of sinking your teeth into, one of my favorite days of working at Intuit was the day that Jonathan sent the support staff popcorn. Every year he would send the Popcornopolis, right? That's the brand, to the entire support team over in Tucson, and we would just kind of take a few moments and appreciate Jonathan, because we'd have some popcorn to enjoy.
You guys had my back many times, especially back in the old days of where desktop software and networking, it was issues, and now those are bygone days.
Right, no more popcorn.
And I do miss not knowing the people at the other end of the phone line. Now I am starting to recognize names, and I actually had a person that I said, "Oh, I've spoken to you before." And she said, "Well, unfortunately, I don't remember speaking to you." And I told her how her name was memorable for me. And she says, "Oh, now I remember you, and I'm not going to forget you."
That's one of the nice parts of when I did work there, is building the relationships with the folks in the accounting community. So, Jonathan, I'm glad you
I'll throw in. I miss Nina, and I miss. There's two other names that are blank on me. That back in the day, that when I would call in, but yeah, such is life with a growing company.
Two in the morning, you'll wake up and it's like, that's the name. But we're going to have Trevor joining us as well. So, Trevor, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Happy to be here. Dan, I think we need to bolster our resumes a little bit compared to Michelle and Jonathan. I mean, the number of
I know.
the
We're in
number of
single
accolades
digits
and
as far as
recognitions they've got really puts us to shame over here.
I
Oh
know.
no, you got that MBA from Columbia. That's
So I'm
no
happy to be here. I unfortunately missed out on the happy hour camp, but I did hear it was a great time. So my background's in finance. I worked in traditional finance and then have been CFO and worked in finance at a number of different startups. Got my MBA from Columbia and then started this company, Genius Sheets, that helps people on QuickBooks build better financial models and reports. So excited for this conversation today.
All right. So a little bit about the details about the QB Power Hours. It's every other Tuesday at noon. I meant 12 and noon at the same time, so I came up with tune. So noon Eastern. Fortunately, no CPA credits available. You can always check out the website for upcoming events, as well as the qbpowerhour.com/resources for the recordings, the podcasts, the PDFs of the slides and whatnot. But I did want to point out one thing that is coming up actually this Friday, and I want to call it out because in our Facebook group is very active about dissing QBO payroll. So Intuit is actually putting out opened up, making themselves vulnerable, and that's one of the things that Michelle and I really at the Appy camp that we were at was just really nice to see apps as well as Intuit just really looking for the open relationship feedback, right? So and they're in September 30th, they will be doing that for QBO payroll. It's really a safe place to talk about your likes, your dislikes, and what would you wish for. Besides the fact, I would like it to work like desktop payroll, but that's another that's another conversation. But definitely I would love to see people coming to this to basically provide their feedback to the QuickBooks Online payroll team, because I've seen a lot of feedback in the Facebook group, but not necessarily solutions. So this gives you an option to really drive home the point. And I kudos to Intuit for being able to make themselves available to do that sort of thing. So you can check it out on the QB Power Hour website under upcoming webinars. There's a registration link there as well.
And Dan,
so a little bit. Go ahead.
Why don't I go ahead and do housekeeping while you turn on the chat for people? It's disabled. So on the housekeeping, if you could ask specific questions in the Q&A, that allows Dan and I to respond to those specific Q&A. And then in the comments, that's where you in the chat feature, you all can comment and chat with one another and everything. But specific questions tend to get lost in the chat. So put those in the Q&A area, and then the handouts and the archives of any of the videos and the recordings and all that, those are available on the link there in the webinar archive. So all the handouts and the recordings are in the link over there on the right. Dan, thank you for enabling the chat for people.
I have a setting turned on in the webinar in Zoom, and I keep forgetting. Every 2 weeks, it's reminding me. I need to go in there and update that setting there.
No worries, no worries.
So we'll go ahead and launch off today with our first poll, which will be, I have too many things in front of my face here. So which spreadsheet program do you prefer to use? Do you prefer Excel, Google Sheets, or maybe you just don't even use it at all? And Michelle and I were talking, and Jonathan were talking a little bit before, as a non-traditionally trained accountant in this panel here, I was always wondering, do you learn spreadsheets as part of your, as part of like an educational type of thing? Trevor, do you, is that something since you have the most book educational of all of us, is that, and probably the most recent of education as well, what would you say there?
Yeah, I mean, most finance and accounting programs now have courses where everything you're submitting is in spreadsheets. So you got to learn quick. It's not specific necessarily like Excel or spreadsheet training, but all the results are.
Somebody says Lotus, should have put that in there as one of the choices there. But I mean, is it something that you like spreadsheets and then you learn accounting, or is you like accounting and then you have to learn spreadsheets?
I don't think anybody starts with spreadsheets as their first love, but there are lots of people who love it. I mean, if you spend enough time in them, I don't know if it's Stockholm syndrome or if people really love it.
I think it just comes with the territory. If you're an accountant, you have to use spreadsheets. It just kind of, they kind of go hand in hand, I think.
Makes sense. So yeah, it does look like looking at the poll results here that most people are preferring Excel over Google Sheets. It's funny because I was thinking of, when my kids were just going through school, they didn't even know Excel existed, right? Because it's all about the Google stuff, right? So I wonder if that's turning, changing, the dynamic.
We certainly see a pretty stark divergence in terms of who's using what, just in our user base. So we see a lot of bookkeepers now have been moving to Google Sheets for their bookkeeping services, just because it's easier when you're directly sharing with those clients and you want to have that like P&L always active between the two. But I'm certainly an Excel guy.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today. So we wanted to talk about just in general, what you can do with spreadsheets in all versions of QBO. And then we'll talk about some of the things that you can do in QBO Advanced specifically, because Intuit seems to have been reserved some of the niftier things inside of QBO Advanced. And then we'll kind of toss it over to Trevor to talk a little bit about what Genius Sheets can do. And then Jonathan and Trevor have kind of worked up some use cases, almost like a little workshop that we can have here about with what he's seen in his practice that becomes very useful with regards to Genius Sheets. So I have too many things in front of my face, in front of the PowerPoint here. Oops. Okay, so move these things over. Sorry. All right, so I'm working with spreadsheets, all versions of QuickBooks. You can import lists and export reports. I mean, it's any report or most lists can be imported natively. So with regards to exporting reports, going to the gear icon inside of QBO and exporting data will take you to the screen where you'll be able to see the reports or lists and export them into an Excel format, which will just launch into Excel. Any report, the screenshot here on the left side here, you'll have that little action or up arrow icon at the top of any report, which will give you this drop down to be able to export to Excel. With QuickBooks Online, it will just automatically save the Excel spreadsheet in the automatic download location, wherever that happens to be, and then you just launch the Excel spreadsheet and work from there. As far as importing, go ahead.
Just to share a tip for people like me who cannot remember. In desktop, when you export a list, doesn't it create an IIF file?
In desktop, it doesn't.
And just so people know, like you export it, it creates an IIF file, but you open that file in Excel and you can work with it in Excel then.
If you go into the file menu that
you have to
sends it to Excel, but any report will be able to be sent as an Excel spreadsheet.
But when you export those lists, it creates an IIF file. So they have to know to look for all files. It won't create an Excel file.
That's true.
That's a point I was trying to make for people. If you create a list, it creates a different file type that you have to look for.
Right.
So sorry, I just wanted to share one tip that I knew about all this. That's the one thing, Dan. One thing.
Throw you a bone. Come on.
So what they don't, if you are looking for that list, it's not an Excel type that you exported. It's a different type. Sorry.
Yeah, if you're doing that from desktop.
Sorry.
Now, as far as importing data, so you'll be able to bring in your data into QuickBooks. Obviously, if you go to the gear and choosing importing data, you get this little launch pad to be able to bring in customers or vendors. But essentially, you're going to be using a spreadsheet list with column headers, and then this screen here will take you to kind of like a wizard where you browse for the file, you tell it what columns are which, and then it will bring in that particular list element, whatever that happens to be, whether it's customers, vendors, or items, products, or services, into QuickBooks. But you would be using a spreadsheet in order to do that. So next poll. They moved again. Okay, where are they? All right, I should let Michelle do all this stuff here. What do you primarily use spreadsheets for in your practice? Right. So preparing, I think I threw the wrong thing in there about I'm looking for alternatives. Not sure where that came from. But do you prepare financial statements or customize reporting? We talked a lot at the Appy Camp, Michelle, about advisory services, and we've been talking about that on the Power Hour. This seems to be where you can take that your practice to the next level, right?
Right. And I used to use the spreadsheets a lot for exporting the financial statements and then creating what I used to laughingly call with my clients picture books, the charts and graphs, because they wouldn't look at the financial statements. They didn't want the numbers. They wanted the charts and graphs so that I could show them, the trends, the gross profit margin trends, or the trends in the ratios and things, so that I could show them charts and graphs. But now we have all these wonderful apps that will do that for you. So I'm not using it in that means anymore. And somebody just posted out here, columnar paper and hand journals with receipt numbers are still being used. Oh my gosh, the opportunities for improvement with the client doing those things. I mean, so just like with opportunities for improvement, I see a lot of opportunities there. So, if people are still using spreadsheets to prepare financial statements, again, I see a lot of opportunities there.
Jonathan, how about you? What do you find that you use spreadsheets for in your practice?
Oh, let's see. Reconciliations of vendor statements is probably one of the big ones, where we're either getting the spreadsheet data into Excel and doing cross-table comparisons, or doing VLOOKUPs. Looking to take some of the class. So I have lots of classes and I have lots of subclasses, and so I would like to take my accounting and bookkeeping, because I do separate desktop from my QBO and combine them, so I can get a better idea of what my recurring accounting business looks like. So those are the. Also, I have a client who has some accounts that for wages that should be not expenses but cost of goods sold, but they're limited by a particular format. So we're taking the accounts from the expense area and putting it up cost of goods sold. So we get a truer cost of goods sold. So those are just a couple of examples.
Now, are you finding that you need to use spreadsheets because of the limitations of reporting, or you're just more comfortable with using Excel or Google Sheets or spreadsheets?
No, I don't. It's sometimes the limitations, like the class reporting that I want to do. If I do class reporting in QBO, it may show me all my classes, and I just want to see the total to the right. So I want to get rid of columns. Reconciliations of vendor statements you can't do inside of QuickBooks, so you have to use a spreadsheet or something to be able to do that.
Got it. Let me go ahead and share the results here. So it looks like customized reporting.
Oh, and actually somebody just said I do with my weekly clients. We are doing cash flow forecasting in the weekly cash flow forecasting, because again, the visual of how it's presented in QBO is not so great, and you can only see so many things on a page. So we're using spreadsheets to do that.
Got it. But yeah, it does look like most folks are using it for customized reporting. I'm kind of in that I avoid spreadsheets like the plague option there. But I know you got to use it, so it's definitely there. So with regards to QuickBooks Online Advanced, which kind of reserves a lot of the neater things that you can do with spreadsheets, in QBO Advanced, you're able to batch transactions, or you can use the batch transactions and import, as well as with invoices. And Michelle and I had done a QB Power Hour on that, so included that link to it in the handouts. There we go. That's the word I was looking for that got stuck on my tongue. And also in Advanced, the ability to utilize to export to Google Sheets is available in Advanced. So if you're one of those folks that prefers using Google Sheets, QBO Advanced, any report, just like you can export to Excel, you can natively connect it to Google Sheets. When you do that the first time, it's going to give you a connection to your Google account. So you just have to walk through and approve the Google Sheets or Google account connection from the company file. And then once you don't have to do that once, and then from each particular company file, and then you'll be able to send it out to Google Sheets natively. And then in recent months, there has been the launch, I guess, of Spreadsheet Sync, right, which is kind of taken the place of Fathom. I don't know if they were coordinated or not, or if just timing was that way, where Fathom was discontinued and Spreadsheet Sync was included. But I think if anybody has used it, you would say it's not exactly on the same playing ground. Jonathan, would you agree on that in that assessment?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So just a little bit to talk a little bit about what Spreadsheet Sync actually does. It is an add-on in Excel. It allows you to get data from QuickBooks Online into Excel. You can bring in reports, lists, as well as transactions. One of the things I do really like about Spreadsheet Sync is it does give you the ability to update those lists, some lists and transactions, and in the spreadsheet, and send it back to QuickBooks. You can group and compile reports, but I think if anybody has actually looked at that, it's pretty lacking as far as what it can do. And you can also, because when you do connect it, it will create and add the add-in inside of Excel, and you can open up the Excel spreadsheet without even going into QuickBooks and update the report from Excel rather than going directly into QuickBooks. So one of those neater things that it can do. And setting up QuickBooks, you do need to have, or setting up a Spreadsheet Sync, you do have to have Office 365. I actually did purchase Office 365 to check this out because I was in more of the Google Sheets, spreadsheet folks. But you only have to install it once. It's an add-on, and then you just enter in your user ID, which is if you have multiple user IDs for your multiple clients, you want to make sure that you use the same one, because if you're trying to combine reports from multiple companies, you'll want to be able to connect those under one Intuit ID. You connect it from within QuickBooks Online Advanced, and then you can also connect it from within Spreadsheet Sync once that add-on is added. And then you can, again, launch it either from QBO or Excel. There will be, once you do add it, there will be a ribbon at the top of Excel, as well as a Spreadsheet Sync pane. very similar to what Trevor will show us about Genius Sheets inside of Excel. But you can there'll be company settings, and you can refresh the report again from the ribbon, and then as well as managing records and lists from within Spreadsheet Sync. There will be there's large buttons to navigate, so it makes it a lot easier, especially if you're more comfortable using Excel inside of Spreadsheet Sync there. The one of the distinct advantages I think that Spreadsheet Sync has is the ability to manage records. So you can add or edit lists and transactions. So if you are one of the things I was thinking of is that if you have a list of chart of accounts that you want to bring into your, start your company, your client's company files with, you can utilize Spreadsheet Sync to be able to do that. Just starting from Excel, you don't have to go through the wizard. So you just bring in that Excel template and then upload it into the client's file. Invoices and bills, journal entries. I mean, these are some of the things that are pretty cool about Spreadsheet Sync. But as we had mentioned, it is kind of early on in the process. There is the ability to consolidate reports, but that is why we have Trevor on the call with us today, is because it is fairly lacking with regards to the consolidated reports that are available. But just kind of like the way the way it is currently and the future state, I have been communicating with some of the Spreadsheet Sync folks. And I think it's really a robust foundation, but it certainly has got a ways to go. One of the distinct advantages that Spreadsheet Sync will have over third-party apps like Genius Sync or Genius Sheets, excuse me, is that they have the API advantage, right? So they kind of have a secret sauce to give them a little bit of a distinct advantage, but they have a long ways to go to get up to that point. So, some of the things in the roadmap that they've been talking about do seem pretty neat, but they got to get to ground zero before they move on. There is, I did want to point out, there is a direct link to feedback about Spreadsheet Sync. I did put it in the handouts here. So they are very aggressive about catching up to the present, right? So if you have used or tried to use Spreadsheet Sync and want to give some direct feedback, definitely go in there. It's a little bit different than the normal just throw it over the wall in the year and send feedback. This is specifically for Spreadsheet Sync feedback.
So
Dan, go ahead.
A couple of questions for you. Do you have any idea when the Spreadsheet Sync will be available in Canada, or any inclinations? Is that on the roadmap?
I don't know, but I can try to find out and post that as a follow-up.
And then another question we had is, what versions of QBO is Spreadsheet Sync available in? It's QBO Advanced only, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
And just to confirm, we as accountants can't use it via the accountant tools in other versions, is that correct? Or others,
correct.
Like I can't use it in a client's QBO Plus subscription. It's
correct.
Only QBO Advanced clients.
Right. You would when you try to connect it, when you try to connect it with you'll see all of your clients when you go to connect. When you go to connect it, if they are not QBO Advanced, it will say I can't connect because it's not QBO Advanced.
Okay, and what about with your books? Since that is an advanced subscription, can we use it with our own books?
Yes, you can use it with your own QBO, your firm books.
So in QBOA, your books, we can use it with our own books.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
All right. So I'm
Sorry.
going to toss it
Go
over.
ahead.
No, that's good. It's good. I was just kind of rambling on there, so I'm glad you glad you brought it up. So I do want to toss it over to Trevor, because again, one of the things that's definitely lacking about the spreadsheet sync, because because Fathom went away, is the ability to do multi-company reporting. So enter Trevor and Genius Sheet.
Thank you. No, that's all super helpful. I'll give some quick background. So our product is similar to Spreadsheet Sync in that it's an Excel and Google Sheets add-in. It's available for all versions of QuickBooks, so anyone can use it. And we are in contact with the QuickBooks team about kind of our product versus their product. So it's not a competition. We're confident we'll be working alongside each other for these different use cases. And so where we really come into play is thinking about things from the more customized reporting or financial modeling angle. So where Spreadsheet Sync really excels is those importing transactions, getting a lot of that transaction level data, the two-way syncing. And I think where we differentiate becomes getting your data from QuickBooks in a customized format that you're going to reuse for clients. So when we get your data from QuickBooks Online, we're taking your data on a cell-by-cell basis. So we've created custom formulas in both Excel and Google Sheets that let you connect each individual cell to a general ledger account that you can then filter by specific customers, classes, different companies. So it gives you a lot more flexibility when you're building things, or for most of you, you already have custom reports you've built. You can integrate our solution in those existing reports so that you can automate it. So talking through some of the quick use cases, and then Jonathan and I will go through a couple examples that he's worked on, are if you wanted to set up consolidated reporting between your multiple entities, you can get the data for each of those companies directly in your spreadsheets in a format that may be different from how it would typically export. So if you want to consolidate certain line items or you want to group things differently, it's a great opportunity for you to use a tool like ours where you can customize how that outputs so that once you've set it up for the first time, it's always like that going forward. Another example is if you wanted in your spreadsheets to have multiple month or multiple time periods of reporting. So if you want to have your income statement and you wanted to show your last month, your last 3 months, and your last 6 months of data all next to each other, and you wanted the percent changes between each of them, you can have that all automated where once you set it up for the first time in Excel, now all you have to do is go into our product, hit that refresh data button, and it's all going to resync directly to QuickBooks Online. And so we can jump in, maybe Jonathan, if you want to take over the screen, and we can go through kind of what this actually looks like in practice.
All right, I stopped sharing, so you should be able to share, Jonathan.
Thank you. Give me a second. Okay, I'm going to be sharing out my second screen. I think this is just a really good, quick example. So as you can see, I have both Spreadsheet Sync and Genius Sheets located. So I have a client who has a huge number of bills that come in from their repair shop, and they're just getting in a ton of bills. Now, the bills are supposed to go into their front end system and get pushed over into QuickBooks. But we are finding when we're doing our reconciliations that we are missing data. So one of the things is one of my current new team members is, getting the vendor statement and going through and ticking off one by one the invoices that are in the system so we can identify the ones that are missing. We are now working on getting a spreadsheet statement from the vendor. And so what I've done here is, so right now I've got my date range, which really doesn't matter all that much for this particular report. And I'm going down here and I'm going to pull in my aging detail. And let's go to pull by period, because we don't want to pull age in detail by month. And very quickly, so now one of the things I'm working on is trying to automate these particular steps. So first thing I have to do is I'm deleting the first row to get my column headers. Then I'm getting my deleting the next couple of rows. My OCD says as soon as I do that, I'm going to freeze my top row. Now, sometimes data gets sent over with merged columns. So just as a safety precaution, I unmerge all my columns. I can get rid of my first column because there's nothing here, and then my typical workflow after that is I'm going to turn on my filters, because I have to find my totals. Actually, let me undo that last delete and then turn on. Oh, yes, no, it's not that. So what I have to do is highlight my columns to turn on my filters, because there is a break here. So I want to get rid of these extraneous lines. So I can uncheck all my dates and then check, or I can actually just type in total and get rid of these lines. So now I have some really clean data to work with, where I could now maybe dump all this information into a pivot table.
I think you just deleted. I think you deleted all your data.
No, I didn't. Ye of little faith.
I thought he did too.
I did. I got all my lines of data.
I wasn't going to interrupt.
All my lines of data here. Now, interesting. So here's my invoice numbers, but so somehow this got formatted along the line as, let's make this text. So somehow that got formatted by mistake. So now I could, filter by my vendors, and then maybe dump it into another tab, pull in my vendor spreadsheet, and start doing some VLOOKUPs to find out what's in both systems that's not in the other system. How's that?
It's good stuff. I mean, you make quick work of a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And then this is going to, ultimately, take that hand ticking off of that, what you were saying, and make it a little bit more streamlined of a process, right?
Yeah. So if you'd like to, I can give you a quick comparison of something similar that I did with Spreadsheet Sync.
Sure. Yeah, this is a side-by-side comparison.
Yeah. So, one of the things that Spreadsheet Sync has over Genius Sheets is I have, like this data that you're looking at right now. I went to go play around with it and change one of the invoice numbers and refresh the data. And I went to go look for that invoice number as an open bill. And my team had already gone and paid some bills. So I just quickly refreshed the data to update it. But one of the issues is, well, it's nice and it comes in with filters for the whole thing. Every time I refresh the data, I now want to have to hide the columns that I really don't need to see. So it doesn't keep the formatting that I had put in, so I had hidden all these, let's get back here. I had hidden all these columns, and now I have to re-hide them again. So it's nice that, and it's only available in advance. So it's nice that it has this, but it does have its, every one of these right now, because it's new and young and Intuit also is really handcuffs these guys, including their own people, on how you can pull out data. Like I can't pull any time data out right now. So I would love to be able to pull time data out in a real time fashion, but it's not there.
Yeah, this looks great. I was going to say, do you want to jump over to showing the formulas?
Like this one right here?
Like this one right here.
Okay. Wait one second. I know we had done a couple of these before. So I'm going to actually give Trevor control of my mouse because he can do this much, much faster than me. And do I need to be relogged? Do I need to relog in so we can refresh?
Yep.
Okay, so give me a second. Let's go to here. Type in Genius Sheets. I use complicated passwords that I cannot remember. Good security that way. Oh, Trevor, why don't you type in your password because it's yours? I know I have it in the email.
Okay, actually, let me go for the other company then. One second. So what we're going to show is the custom formulas with Genius Sheets, where once you've set them up, they link directly to the general ledger. So I'm going to click in this cell. And what you can see is, so these are our custom formulas. They start off GS for geniussheets.is. So this formula will reference all of your data in the income statement. And then we have the different arguments within the formula. So the first, and it shows you this dropdown to kind of guide you along the way. So the first is the category, which will be the name of the general ledger account for your company that you want to connect. Next will be the start date of the period of the data you want. The next one will be the end date. And then finally, the name of the company will be the last argument. And if you wanted to add filters, those are things like specific classes, products, services, customers, you can as well. But we're going to keep it simple for now. So what I'm going to do, and what Jonathan's already done here, is we've pulled our income statement for the last year. I'm just going to hit this refresh data button and make sure I'm getting the most up-to-date data. And so I think, Jonathan, it was the contractor's expense that you wanted to move up?
Yes.
So what you can do with this report is I can take this row. I'm just going to make copy. I'm a little unsure of my Excel skills as we're still operating within the Zoom confines, but we're going to take this contractors, we're going to add it up here. So if we want the contractor's expense to now be showing up in our total cost of goods sold, this report going forward is always going to look like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm then, I can get control back. I can remove this from down here. My totals are still pulling in through the formulas. So what I can do is I can add this contractor's expense to my total cost of goods sold. Now my gross profit, I can subtract that contractor's expense. Oops. And then all I have to do is below on my, actually no, total expenses should be the same. So the other calculation.
No, you still have to subtract out total. You still have to subtract out total expenses because you moved it up to that area.
Oh, you're right.
But your operating income will also need to be adjusted too.
Yep. There we go. So now that we have,
but your net income won't.
Right.
Oh, wait 1 second. No, the operating income is cost. Well, yeah, you're still gonna have to adjust it there.
Yeah. So now that you've created this, if as the next monthly statement rolls through, you can just change the date. So we want 7/1, 7/30, and now you've got the updated numbers for the next month, and the report that you've now customized in a way that's different from your income statement is saved. And so it starts to get your brain thinking the ways that you can customize this. You can add balance sheet data in here. You can add cash flow statement data. You can add other non-financial metrics. We see a lot of people consolidating line items as well. If you're doing job costing, you can do job costs to individual line items for your income statement. So it opens up a new layer of possibilities where once you've set it up that first time, all you're doing is changing the dates going forward.
Can I show them something that is really neat? Because I sit down And a lot of my clients, when I'm presenting their financials, a lot of times I show them their financials both in accrual and cash basis. So if I go pull reports and I want to pull for whatever month, I can actually pull a cash basis versus accrual basis and pull that in and have them lined up next to each other. And that helps the business owner see, how maybe an accrual basis is better to look at versus a cash basis, because the recognition of either revenue or expenses when it occurs and not when it's paid.
Does that help you make adjustments when you want to tie that back, or is that why you want to show it that way, or you just want to show the client those two options?
Oops. I just want to show in this particular case, I just want to show the client the two options. Just see, see it. And so very quickly, and I guess, I don't know what the data range is on here, but obviously there is a little bit of difference in that. But when I looked at mine, it was really nice and informative.
Yeah, for our dummy account, we don't have as much accrual versus cash differences as everyone else in here will.
So
yes, go ahead.
Well, so we had a question. Trevor, somebody wanted to know, is the report not recalculating when you move to those items?
No. So the way the report, each cell is linked to the general ledger account. And so because when you move things on the report, it doesn't actually change the calculation because it's still referencing that same general ledger account. So now instead of having the report isn't calculating based on what's above or below it. It's almost like a VLOOKUP where it's tying back to the actual QuickBooks account. So no matter where you move them, those numbers aren't going to change.
Okay.
I have a question for you. Have you thought about making the GL accounts? They pull from the live data, but when you then putting them into the spreadsheet, you actually are doing the real calculations. So then
it's something we've definitely taken a look at. I think maybe I'll share my screen, and then Michelle, I see there are a couple questions. I can answer them now as well, if that's the easiest thing.
Okay. Yeah. So somebody else wanted to know, how does Genius Sheets and LiveFlow compare? And I don't know if you're familiar with LiveFlow.
Yep, very familiar. We're similar. They operate from Google Sheets to QuickBooks Online. We are both Excel and Google Sheets to QuickBooks Online. I think the big difference is our solutions more focused on customization. So when you're doing things like those job costing, where you're consolidating certain line items, or you're building those more customized reports for clients, since our formulas operate on kind of this individual cell-by-cell basis, it gives you more flexibility to customize it. Whereas if you're just sending your clients the P&L, the balance sheet, cash flow statement, and maybe some other pre-built reports from QuickBooks, their solution is going to be a little bit neater out of the box for people.
Gotcha. And then what level of subscription do we need, like the access that you are showing?
Yeah, so we have an accountant partner program. It's $10 per connection, and that gives you full access to everything I'm showing. So $10 per client.
$10 per client.
That's
and
reasonable.
Do you have, accountants are always liking something to play with. We like a sandbox. Do you have something for us to get in and play with it and, test it out and things like that? Do you have something like that available for us?
Yep. We have a demo account that you can get access to that is sandbox dummy data that Jonathan was just showing. We also offer a 2-week free trial that gives you full access to everything with your own companies without you having to put any credit card down. Plus, we also have your firm's personal account comes free.
Okay. So if they wanted to access that demo account, like you were talking about, how would they get access to that? Do they email you or?
Yeah, they can send me an email. I'll put my email in the chat, and then we can set them up with access for it.
Okay. Otherwise, you mentioned 2-week free trial.
Yep.
Okay. Great.
2-week free trial, no credit card down.
Gotcha.
And then if you go on the pricing page, there's a separate an area for the accountant partner program where you can sign up, get your contact information, and then we'll send you the rest of the resources we have, like our Slack channel for users.
And I figured Deb Kilsheimer's on here, and I know she loves pivot tables and all that. And of course, she said, "Sign me up." I knew she would love something like this, so she's.
I might as well launch the last poll question. Would you like to learn more? That way we could, that way you don't have to send get all these emails inundated with you, Trevor. We can just go ahead and provide you with those folks.
Yeah. So if people respond yes on this poll question, then Dan, we're going to provide them with this information, and Trevor and them can follow up. Correct?
Yes. Yeah. So that way you can reach out and make sure that you get your sandbox and your trial and your whatever it is that you need connected.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yes.
So my feeling about Sandbox is, since you're pulling data into Excel or Google Sheets and it's non-destructive, just start with your own data, because then you're going to get to see the results or try for the results that you want to get. I would also recommend that sometimes it's worthwhile to pull the information in. Start with the original spreadsheet. Maybe reference back to that original spreadsheet to make manipulations on it to see how the outcomes come. So, like somebody talked about putting in dynamic total, change. Let's say you overwrite the totals. So you have a spreadsheet in, you create another one, or you link it to the original spreadsheet. But then you can overwrite your totals with actual calculations. That is one of the things that I thought about doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'll say if you do say yes, we will not add you directly to our mailing list unless you actually sign up for an account. So you'll just get the one email from me, and that's it.
Great, Trevor. What was the genesis of Genius Sheets? Like, how did this all come up?
So finance analysts who work at equity research firms or hedge funds have tools like Bloomberg and CapIQ that let them pull data for public companies directly through formulas, which is what you need if you're building these more bespoke kind of financial models or reports. And so my idea was that companies should have access to the same technology that lets you get this unlimited level of flexibility, whether it's on a time period or by customer, by class, by product, by service, into their existing Excel spreadsheets.
And we had a question.
Go ahead. No,
okay. Go ahead. Linda had a great question, and it's a question I had as well, because I missed the meeting with you two the other day. Sorry about that. Jonathan and Trevor, can you clarify if you two work together? Are you separate companies, or like what's the relationship between the two of you?
Yeah, so no.
I'm a user.
Yeah, Jonathan's been a user and candidly has been one of the most helpful people just in the QuickBooks space. So he was one of the first people that responded to my emails as we created the product and we're breaking in. And so, we've just been like informally working together with him as a user and getting feedback. So nothing formal, but he's been tremendously helpful as just we think about what accountants need and what they're looking for.
He's been an evangelist.
And I break software and test the software limits.
Jonathan likes to break things.
I have known Jonathan for a number of years. He has been, I won't say a heckler in my training courses over the years. He has had very good probing questions over the years, as has Dan on the other side from Intuit with the customer care with support calls. Jonathan has always had very good, insightful questions. So I can imagine, Trevor, you've been a recipient of those questions and things like that as well. So
I don't have to worry about him pulling any punches.
Yeah. He tests things and pushes them to the limits and tries all kinds of scenarios and use cases. And he tries to break it. I mean, he really tries it and uses it and pushes things to the limits. And if there's a weakness, he's going to find the weakness in something, which is great, as far as testing it out, in my opinion. So.
And then I bumped into Jonathan at Scaling New Heights, and he was like, "Hey, you got to talk to this guy Trevor." And that's kind of how this workshop came to be. It's like, we have all these other options. Let's just make sure that we have everything covered. Like all of our bases covered. So.
And that was originally at the Spreadsheet Sync session. So we've come full circle.
Exactly.
One of the things getting involved with both Spreadsheet Sync and Genius Sheets is it has really now bumped up my knowledge of Excel, where I'm starting to work with higher level features such as, Power Query, pivot tables, trying to get this live data into Excel for manipulation. So this experience has been really good.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I wanted to clarify that Spreadsheet Sync is only QBO Advanced, but Genius Sheets is all versions of QuickBooks Online, not just with Advanced. So, but you can use it in concert with QBO Advanced with Spreadsheet Sync if you are, as long as you have that. Now, one question that did come up there, I wanted to kind of throw this out at you, Jonathan. Somebody made a comment that Genius Sheets kind of looks like the financial statement designer at a desktop. Would you agree with that assessment?
Oh my God, it is so long since I've worked with financial statement writer. I mean, seriously, it's got to be 5, 6, 7 years since I've used it. I mean,
you've long since abandoned it, huh?
This year was the first year I did not renew my paid ProAdvisor profile because I'm also a qualified solution provider, so I'm getting my NFR copies that way. So but the one thing is I do miss a couple of the cleanup tools that you have access to that you lose access to. But I have bought the Intuit Kool-Aid and signed on for online and spread and my 2 data files have been migrated to the cloud, and it's great. I don't worry about backing up data files anymore.
So Trevor, I wanted to clarify something. So with Genius Sheets, you can consolidate companies. So is there a limit to how many companies you can do consolidations with? And is it only financial statements, or can you consolidate other reports as well?
Right now, it's just financial statements, but there is no limit to the number you can have. So right now, we have plenty of people that have 20, 30, 40 different QuickBooks entities all within the same spreadsheets where it's pulling in. Now, if you try and get a spreadsheet with 50,000 cells all pulling in, you're going to run into just performance issues with Excel. But in general, our data can pull in as many different entities as you want.
Okay. And I may have missed this because I was answering questions, but one of the things that's always a challenge is for nonprofits who want to see the budget reports. They want to see the current year budget versus actual also compared to the prior year. Is that something Genius Sheets can pull in? It seems like you could.
We don't pull the budget data that you've inputted into QuickBooks Online yet, just because we've had some issues just how we pull it out. But what we have lots of nonprofits doing now is when you set it up to have the actuals pull through for both of those multi-time periods. So this year, last 3 months, last 3 months, and that you can all automate. So if you're doing your budgeting manually in Excel or Google Sheets, you now fully automate that process by getting those actuals to all pull in one shot.
Oh, nice.
I'm glad to hear that. I have a new production client that we may put, their productions take a period of 2 to 3 years. And I'm thinking of putting their data on balance sheet and work in progress. And that means I could use, pull in the live data from you guys and compare it to the budget for those areas so they can get an idea of what's left. Because I need to find out whether I can do budget versus actuals. Maybe Michelle can answer that on balance sheet items. Right now, I think it's just oriented towards P&Ls, right?
In QBO, yeah, you don't do a balance sheet budget in QBO.
Right.
Yeah. Nope.
Kim in the Q&A has a comment here. I'm a little worried about updating QB from a spreadsheet. Speaking to how that happens and who drives that sync. I assume she's talking about spreadsheet syncing that because Trevor, you just pull information into. Yep. You don't push any information. So yes, that is, and maybe that's why Spreadsheet Sync is really only geared towards QBO Advanced, because QBO Advanced has the bundled backup problem, or has the backup app, right? So you have a restore point, assuming you've opted in or turned on your backup, your online backup app inside of QBO Advanced. If something goes horribly wrong, yes, you have a restore point to be able to roll back to, but also the undo feature inside of Excel basically allows you to roll it back as well, right? So you can just undo what you did, change the options, and then push it back in and update it again. So they have kind of thought that through a little bit to be able to have that undo option or restore point with the backup feature. One of the things I forgot my question, but I think we are at the top of the hour. So I appreciate Jonathan and Trevor for joining us today, and Michelle, it's always great to see you. Next week or next time on the Power Hour, we're actually going to be talking about the recap of the Appy Hour camp. So we're going to have Heather and Liz joining us, as well as some of the app vendors that were there as well, to kind of get their takeaway as a debrief of that event. It was really an awesome experience. I speak for Michelle on that, because we all seem to have a really great takeaway from that event. It was unlike anything else I've ever attended. And it was really great to see everyone and connect and continue to build relationships. And we look forward to building relationships with you on the next QB Power Hour.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Trevor and Jonathan. Great to learn more about Genius Sheets. It is really an impressive tool for us out there. So thank you all for joining us. Dan, as always, thank you. And thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed listening to the QB Power Hour podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in our Facebook group. You can find those resources and much more at qbpowerhour.com.